This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Tyler Carr of Carr Landscape Depot. Tyler, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You have a long-term history in the Simcoe County area. Many people know about Carr Landscape Depot, but I asked myself this question: how much do we know about the people? So let's really dig into that a little bit more, find out the essence of Carr Landscape Depot and a bit of its backstory, what you guys do. So let's start right off from the top. Seems like a no-brainer question, but assume I know nothing. What is Carr Landscape Depot?
Well, Carr Landscape Depot today is primarily a landscape supply yard, supplying soils, aggregates, mulches, concrete pavers, pretty much anything that would go into an outdoor backyard. Carr Excavating is what we started from about 37 years ago.
Beautiful. And was that your father or was that grandpa?
That was actually my father. So he started with just a backhoe and himself and drove the backhoe site to site, building an excavation business for himself. And it grew to, I think at one point he had about 25 employees and a pretty substantial excavation site work business. And that's kind of where I got involved. High school or even in public school summers, spend my time there laboring and doing all the grunt work, so I would say. And then got a little more involved and got into like running sites and running crews of guys. And that's when I kind of just started to think, I don't necessarily like this. I don't like the life. It was a good life, but it wasn't my 10 or 15 year plan. This isn't where I want to be. And that's where I started to kind of look at what other opportunities are out there for me to go into or invest my time and use the resources that I currently have.
And what did you choose from there? So just to back up a little bit. So Pops, what's your dad's name?
Dan.
Okay. I'm calling him Pops. So Pop's Carr, Dan Carr, started this 37 years ago. So right around the birth of you.
Yep.
Okay. It was an excavation company. So there was no yard at that point. There was no depot per se.
No, there was originally no depot.
Okay.
I believe it was about 10 years into it. He started renting a little space and started bringing back soil, excess soil, and screening a bit of soil. And that was the start of the depot.
Okay, so the depot has been around in some way for 27 years?
Yeah, I would say, yep.
Okay, so you're about 10 or so. And then you said you were doing the grunt work. Thanks, Dad. I'm sure you learned a lot of lessons, painfully learned there. Nobody really likes grunt work, but I think there's a lot of value to be derived from it. I certainly didn't like doing it when I was a kid, but I'm thankful for it now. And then you were running sites. And then you mentioned a moment ago that good life, good resources, good opportunity, but it wasn't the perfect fit for you. So what did you do from there?
So then it was kind of looking, what can we do with our current kind of skill set and assets and resources that we have? And it was like landscape supply. We were already sort of doing it, but I thought there was a big gap in our market. You look south and there's large landscape supply centers that carry everything from, plants, patio furniture, pavers, everything. And in Simcoe County, there's a lot of yards that carry just aggregates. There's yards that carry just pavers, some that carry lumber, but nothing that carries everything. The super centers, I guess you would call them, something like that. So I'm like, I think this might be, I could see myself enjoying this and wanting to do this. So we were actually, my wife was pregnant, I think like 8 or 9 months pregnant. I said, I've researched the best yards, the people that are killing it in this industry. we need to drive down and try and talk to an owner. So we picked a spot, drove down. It was, I think, like January or just before Christmas, drove down, asked to speak to an owner. They don't know us from like a fly in the wall. Ended up getting a father. This would be they'd be a fourth generation business. Talked to the father and chatted with him for 2 hours, opened up, found so many similarities between us and our families and just like struggles of owning a business. And he actually said, I should put you in contact with my son. He's going to be taking over the business. And he's actually got a kid on the way his wife was the exact same, like 8-9 months along in their pregnancy. So that was like the first, like, this is pretty cool. We've met some cool people. It seems like they got things going on, and I want to continue down this path. So I think it was like 9 months before I actually got in contact with his son. I was just the joke is between him and I, we actually became best friends. Our kids are the same age.
Really?
Properties on the same lake up north. So now we're like inseparable.
So cool.
Like totally random how like life just turns. But yeah, it was just a sticky note on his dad's computer for about 9 months. And one day he just asked his dad, who's this Tyler Carr guy? He's like, oh, you were supposed to call him.
A 9-month sticky note.
Yeah.
Life is so cool, man. So cool and serendipitous.
Yeah, so wild. So yeah, and then we just like started doing a bit of business back and forth. We couldn't sell certain products because we didn't have like dealerships. So we started utilizing him, doing quite a bit of volume through him, and just started to build a friendship and a trust. And he's kind of been like our mentor to get us where we are now, whether he thinks he is or not. We've just like grown together, and I don't think we've just been going kind of full force in this ever since we met. I'd say for like 5 years now, and developing our vision and what we're trying to do here.
I love it. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions about that, but the Carr Landscape Depot that I just drove past on Friday, what that is right now, how long has that been like that?
I would say 5 years was the transition where we really said,
become that one-stop shop.
Yeah. And I'd say the last 3 have been dramatic improvements. I mean, 5 years ago, we were still operating out of a small trailer, which again is like most landscape yards. That's just how you run, out of a small trailer. Kind of, I'd say a little bit less professional looking. And then, I mean, you drove by today, you can see, I think we have the largest outdoor display. We've got a Timerbkit pergola with outdoor kitchen going in. Totally different business, like crazy. People come in here daily and it's like, wow, this is a total transformation, which is.
Yeah. So when you said 30 years, I'm like, because I've been in Simcoe County for a little while and I don't know. I have a different focus now than I had 10 years ago. But when I drove past it the other day, knowing that you were coming on the show, it's like, man, this is a hell of a business. Like, well done. But to hear that's 5 years, that's still fairly new. So I imagine it's been a ton of transitioning over this last 7, 6, 5, 4 years.
Many lessons have been learned.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But I got to give you so much credit, man, because it's amazing. We help educate business owners on how to scale their business in a number of different ways. Marketing is our main focus, but there's a number of branches there. We won't get into employees and things like that and how you base your finances. We will teach people on how to raise prices and create value propositions. But one of the easiest things that many people don't consider, you said it at the beginning of when you started talking about becoming a one-stop shop. I found the best people and I went and I talked to them. It's such a no-brainer. 9 out of 10 people don't think of it or won't do it. Often when they think of it and don't do it, it's that self-limiting belief in their head. They're like, I have nothing to offer Tyler. I'm opening my own yard, so I can't go talk to him. He won't talk to me. We start talking all this shit in our head.
Yeah.
And then you don't have having the conversation. And what happens, what seems to be true to me is that most people are willing to help the up and comer, because I think most people are inherently good when given the opportunity. And it turns out that you guys had kids at the same time, you live on the same lake, you've helped each other's business grow, all because you decided, I'm going to find a person who's better at this than me, or is further down the line than me, and I'm just going to talk to them. So simple. Maybe the best ROI decision outside of your wife and kid that you've ever made.
Yeah.
All it took you was time and a little bit of curiosity, maybe, and some honesty. And I don't know, an hour's worth of gas. Talk about return on your investment, man. Shit. Nice work. So I really hope people hear that, because I don't know what your annual revenue is, but I can only imagine the cost to run that business in it of itself is probably more than most small, medium businesses do in sales per year, the size of that depot. And a big portion of that, not of course everything, but a big portion of your pivot came from a conversation with somebody who was already in the industry. Not too many things that produce an ROI like that.
No, not at all. Just got a little bit uncomfortable and crazy things happened.
It's amazing, man. And the fact that you guys had kids at the same time, live on the same lake, and now you're inseparable, it's just a beautiful story. So for people listening, set your expectations a little lower than that. Just start with going to have the conversation. Don't expect to get exactly what Tyler got. And if you don't get what he got, don't be deflated. But just go talk to people who are further down the line than you. It's so simple. Most of us will help in some way. Some people spend half their day putting out free education. Just find them online. But I love that, man. It's so good. And I was going to ask you about your story a little bit, but I think we checked most of the boxes. So what I want to ask about specifically about the Landscape Depot is, do you sell B2C, B2B? How does it work?
So we sell direct to consumer and to contractors. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets treated the same way here. Our whole goal with this new renovation was to make this an experience center. We want people to be able to come in here and see pavers on the ground, see different laying patterns, because it's very overwhelming to just pick things from a swatch or from a board. Yeah. So that's why we've incorporated like a fire pit seating area. We're building the outdoor kitchen, and we've got the putting green. And not to say that you have to do all of these things, but if you've never seen what any of these elements look like, it's very difficult for a contractor or the end user to say, yes, I can justify spending X amount of dollars, but I really have no idea what any of these elements look like.
Oh yeah, it's huge. I mean, one of the things that we did, totally different business, but same problem, is that when I'm just sharing with people how we can help them through verbally, I found that really only the ones that previously understood before I told them what I told them got it. Like if they were already doing similar things, we speak the same language, no problem. But that's like 2 out of 10. So I was trying to, how do I connect with the 8 out of 10 more? Because I feel like they could benefit from it. They all have the same problem. I have the same solution, but I'm delivering it in a way that's subpar to these people. So finding another way to communicate with them. You can communicate with them through touch, through audio, through visual, through verbal. And you having this experience center, although I don't have an experience center, we answered that same bottleneck in our business, that same constraint, by changing the experience, by making it more visually appealing, by actually making it interactive. Sometimes we have, not sometimes, we do have a part of our system that they can actually play with and not just see, but implement their own business numbers, revenue, et cetera, growth projections. And now it can start to make sense to them a little bit more, similar to what you guys have. Again, different business model. But when somebody can come in and like play in your playground kind of thing, oh yeah, the impact you have on an individual, I don't know, 10Xs, 5Xs, whatever it is, but it's a huge difference. And I've been to your place and it's fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Just looking at it on a sheet or on a website, not bad, but going there and seeing it and touching it and just seeing the grandeur of this place, Yeah, kind of nails hits the hammer on the head, or hits the nail on the head, especially from a guy that knows nothing about this stuff. Now, at least I can go and I can spend, all day there and learn a bunch of things, or just chunk away a little bit at a time and then implement whatever I've learned there, products and services, into my own life. I imagine that's what you were going for.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
And what led you to that, Tyler? Like, that is a huge, again, because your place is so big, I imagine it's so costly. It's such a huge financial investment. And then the financials aside, the undertaking of it all, you can't just be like, okay, on the weekend, we're gonna make it more interactive like we did, because we're mainly virtual. Much bigger endeavor for you guys. So what made you decide we have to do this?
We want to keep growing. We want to attract, anybody that wants to be a part of our industry. I want to be able to attract the best people to work with us and be a part of our team. We want the best customers coming here. So in order to get those things, we have to do more. We have to create more revenue so we can pay more, keep growing it internally. So, you get more revenue. How can you get more revenue? You can either do it by price, which is kind of counterproductive, I find. Or
what do you mean by lowering your price?
By lowering our price and becoming.
Yeah, I'm not about that stuff.
Like the Walmart,
no.
And that doesn't really, I don't think that works for what we're trying to do. It would maybe work if I want to lose a few staff members and be more involved myself. But again, we look at the life I want. That's not where I want to be. So that doesn't work. So how can we stand out? Well, we could create the best experience possible. And that's where we started when we created our vision and our plan for this kind of experience center that we're still developing. We've got a couple secret things that are coming up that we're going to do to, we're leaving the country to go somewhere else to kind of see some things that are working really well in other spots, to see how can we implement these here, because no one's doing it here. And we want to keep pushing ourselves to be better. It's all cool, the stuff that we're doing here. And I'm super proud of it, but I need to be re-inspired again. And I want to re-inspire my staff, say, this is the next thing we're going to do. This is going to be the next big experience. And I think once, next year we'll see kind of the fruits of our labor of what we've done for the last 2 years really start to transform. We're going to drive more traffic here just because it is an experience. And you can come here, you never seen outdoor lighting. We have I believe the best lighting room in Ontario, probably. Wow. You can come inside of our shop here, and we've transformed a lunchroom and a bathroom into the best lighting room in Ontario, where you can come in. We can show you what your beautiful backyard looks like with no lights, and then we can show you what it looks like with a base package to the most extravagant package. And I think that's where the value gets added to why would people want to come and, spend their money at Carr? Well, because Carr cares, and we're investing in this experience so everybody can feel different components that would be in your backyard versus saying, here's a box with a light in it. We want X amount of dollars for it. You need this. Well, pretty hard to sell that, or a paver on a rack. Or we can say, here's the fully working outdoor kitchen. We're cooking up burgers and hot dogs on Friday. Come on by, meet my staff, meet our team. And that's going to, I think, help change some people's lives and perspectives and create some connections that is going to make our goal of being the experience center come true.
I love it, man. I would just love to take an afternoon and talk to you about business because it seems like I think character leaves clues, right? If you're in the same world, you start to be like, oh, I say similar things, or I think similar things. So you run the vision of this operation, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
With my team.
Of course.
Great
But you're
team.
spearheading it.
Yeah.
Right. And then you use this incubator with these other brains, bring them together, brainstorm, and then you drive it forward. Yeah. Awesome, man. I love it. What was I going to ask? So are you guys feel like you represent yourself as the premier landscape depot in Simcoe County? Like, are you the top of the pyramid? Is that what you're going for?
I would like
use
to
Walmart
think
as a representation. So to me, they are a commodity. They certainly solve a problem. They have their niche. They provide a service for a need. But no one would be like, yeah, they're like Bugatti or Mercedes. That's not what Walmart is. Is that what Carr is going for, to be the Mercedes of this industry?
Yes, 100%. Yep.
Love it, man. And is Simcoe County kind of your stomping grounds?
Yep. I would say everywhere within Simcoe County. Muskoka's a little bit. Perry Sound.
Okay.
Collingwood, Blue Mountains, that kind of area.
Beautiful. Yeah. What if I need a contractor? So I come to you and I say, Tyler, this place is awesome. This is the budget I have, 30 grand, whatever, on my backyard. These are the things I want. I know nothing about nothing. I just know my wife wants this, and I'm good with that. Please help.
Yeah, we definitely have like a long list of professionals that we work with. Mm-hmm. We usually give out a few names here and there. We always encourage people to do their own due diligence, but we probably know of everyone in this area, so we can at least give what we know of the contractor or person is the information that we know on them. But there's several great contractors and business owners in this area.
Okay. So I come to you for the retail, I come to you for the products. And then if I really know nothing about nothing, I say, I'm getting the stuff from you guys for the pool or for the whatever, fire pit. You can recommend, at least point me in the direction.
Yep, for sure.
Perfect. I love it, man. Let's talk about myths and misconceptions here. Most businesses I don't get stumped on. Most of the time I do have a myth or misconception in my head, but for the landscape depot per se, for landscaping, I think I have a few, but for the depot, I'm not quite sure, but I'll provide a little context. Big part, as I was saying in the pre-show, is education here. We are education. Let's get the people who know what they're talking about because they've done it for 30 years. Let's put them on video, share and promote their business, but let's derive as much value from that brain of specialty as possible, because the average person can't dedicate the time to becoming an expert in all things. Maybe becoming an expert in one thing can be a lifetime. So I find that the information we have stored in here, whether said through broken telephone or not the greatest resource online, sometimes it is, but it's hard to find good, accurate information, truth. Mm-hmm. So these myths and misconceptions for real estate agents, plastic surgeons, dentists, for you guys, there are people out there that have information in their head that is suboptimal. And if we can help clarify that, now we can push them towards making a decision to solve the problem that's been nagging at them. So are any myths and misconceptions you can think of regarding your products and services that the audience may have in their head?
Specifically, would be, for example, when people buy natural stone, they think every piece of natural stone is going to be the same. Right. When in essence, they're not. Natural stone is beautiful because it's like naturally imperfect. Right. That would be something that we come across quite often is, and someone comes in, picks a natural stone from a sample, and they get 1,000 square feet of it, and it's all kind of different. And it becomes a problem. And it's like, well, we need to do better at educating our contractors and again, the end user, that natural stone isn't perfect. If you're looking for a perfect product, then maybe you need to use an outdoor porcelain or a concrete product where the pattern is repeating, not natural. that's probably a big problem that does come up. Another problem that we've really seen amplified in the last 2 years, just because manufacturing of concrete products has been rushed, is like efflorescence. What is
Efflorescence? I'm not sure what that is.
That's like, so you put down, let's say, a black concrete paver, and then it starts turning white. Like there's white stains everywhere. This is naturally occurring. It happens, and it dissipates and goes away over time. But we've again got a society that have such high expectations that things are perfect all the time, and this naturally occurring efflorescence issue is never going to go away. So again, we need to do a better job of educating people that every single brand has this problem, some more than others based on when things are manufactured and how they're packaged and wrapped up. But efflorescence is never going away. It's always going to be here. How can we educate people better on how to deal with it, how to manage it, what their expectations are of it, so that, again, we don't ruin it's painting the industry with a bad picture, especially concrete pavers right now, is that this is, they're garbage. If they develop this white film, they're garbage. Well, they're not garbage. There's a process we have to go through. Yes, it is a bit inconvenient. It is, but if you don't want to have this problem, then we shouldn't be selling you concrete.
Right.
Those are two big kind of misconceptions, I would say.
Well, there we go. I didn't know either of those. And it's interesting. You said perfectly imperfect. I use that line all the time because I don't know. If it's created by human, is it perfect rather than whatever created all this, like natural stone? Maybe that's what perfect looks like. I don't know. Who is the creator of the definition of perfect? It's certainly not me, but I think what you were saying is repeating is the word. It's the exact same thing over and over and over again. To me, that is not perfect. If my life was that way, I would be depressed.
Yeah.
I want that perfectly imperfect. And I think it's the messiness of our human experience, kind of fumbling around, trying to figure it out. Nobody really has the answers. We're just trying to do the best that we can. Maybe that is perfect. But I appreciate you bringing that up and then allowing me to dig into my philosophy on what perfect is a little bit. Let's talk about you for a second, Tyler. Outside of the business, first off, I love where this conversation is going. I love talking about business, not just about somebody's business, but you're running a successful business. I like to think we are as well. And the business education side of this show does come up a fair bit, but it's usually specific to a product. Like they're going to talk about the real estate business or this or that or this, where you're talking, at least for a moment there, about business in general, good business advice in general, which I love. But outside of the business, what puts a smile on your face, Tyler, when you're not working? What do you get up to for fun?
Oh, I've developed a passion, I'd say, for running. So started running again. It was a friend in the landscape industry was a runner, and I would say I wasn't really into running. Played hockey growing up, and I think I just kind of got jealous. Like, hey, this guy's running a big business, and he's fit, and his health is a priority. I need to be doing this.
Yes.
So started doing some running. My wife's now gotten into running. Kids, like my two kids are 8 and 6, so they're right in the thick of hockey and acro, and so spending time with them and trying to instill the goal, like the values that my parents put into me about hard work, teamwork. So I mean, we do have a pretty busy life with them doing those things, but I felt like that's why I got to where I am. It wasn't sitting around waiting for things to happen. So, just spending time with them, trying to travel a little bit more. We're doing that as a family.
Where do you go? Or where have you been? Or where do you want to go?
We really want to do a little bit more. Never been to Europe. So we actually have a Europe trip planned, do that. Done the Dominican, Mexico stuff.
Sure.
But, I think now we want to kind of experience cultures, not resorts. We want to experience cultures, and expose our kids to that. That was one thing I never did kind of growing up, was a whole lot of traveling. So we like that. I'd say we're a Disney family. We love Disney now. So that's
How can you not? This
become a
is
problem.
fantastic stuff.
But really cool, especially when you like business and you can go there and see it's perfect. There's very little gum on the walkways, and most people probably don't look at those things, but just like all the small details of this place is massive. The staff are always amazing. The cleanliness, how it runs is like, okay, this is
How do they do it
exactly
all?
what I want to do.
Yeah. It's amazing, the different mindset. When you sometimes I think I'm neurotic, right? I'm looking at things like that. I go to the movie theater and I just put my hand under there. It's like any gum under there. And you'll notice these little things, but when that's your game and that is my game, it seems like your game. You go to Disney World and you're like, wow, hun, look, there's no gum on the floor. And she's like, come on, we're going on the rides. We're looking at this.
Yeah.
Let's just take a moment and appreciate that there's no gum. That's a multi-billion-dollar business. And they have every excuse in the world to say, we have a bunch of great rides. Everything else is great. Just deal with the gum. But they don't. And that's exceptional. And it leaves me with no excuses, man.
Exactly.
Because running 14 people, that's the biggest we've ever been. And they have, I don't know, a country worth of people. So it leaves us with no excuses. They set the standards higher. And I think it's very interesting that you look at that. And that was your first comment about going to Disney.
Yeah. Some people think it's a bit weird, but hey, it gives me more something to strive for.
Yeah, it's your game. You're trying to refine it. And again, like we've talked about a couple times now in the pre-show and now, Disney is at the top of what they do. And they've been there for decades.
Yeah.
So if I'm not learning something from them when I go to them and I claim myself to be a business owner and teach people how to scale and market, then I'm missing something in a big way. Yeah. Right down to the customer service, the clothing, all that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool. But can I ask you one thing? I'm big into physical and mental practices. My world before growing businesses was fitness. Mm-hmm. And I got into marketing and scaling because I did that with my gym. Prior to doing that with my gym, I was a slave to my gym. My mentor asked me, you really need to consider this question at some point. If you want to grow, do you own your business or does your business own you? And I said, how can I know that? She said, well, can you go away for 2 or 3 weeks and have your business not only be maintained, but grow? And I said, absolutely not. I'm the only trainer here plus one assistant. When I'm not here, the business is going down. Every minute I'm not here, it's not producing revenue. She's like, well, then your business owns you. And then she taught me about marketing and scaling, et cetera. We built a team and then it was okay from there. But that was a life-changing moment for me. And that's what brought me into this. But fitness has been the foundation of my life. Body, mind first. If I don't take care of that, I'm more irritable. I'm a lesser version of myself to the world. And I because I'm in it so much, I think about some of these strange things. Like when you say you're running, I'm always curious as to what people do while they're running. Are they listening? Some people are just constant sponges to everything. They run while they're reading a book or taking a course. Then they go and they make their meals while they're walking around their kitchen and cleaning and taking care of kids and running businesses. That seems a little too chaotic to me sometimes. I like a little bit more stillness. But I'm curious as to what you do while you're running. You listening? You thinking? You at peace? What goes on?
I'd say I'm like 50-50 when I'm running. Again, like when we're at work and in the business, like we're here. It's no in and out. So sometimes I just like to run with nothing and literally listen to nature, look for, hey, if a squirrel runs in front of me, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Squirrel just ran in front of me or whatever. Just I love nature too. So like I'm a big outdoors hunting, fishing person. So I can be motivated to keep running just by looking and hearing those sights and sounds.
Yeah, like running towards something rather than running on a treadmill. Yeah.
But I'd say when I'm on a when I am on a treadmill, I need to be listening to something. So that's typically the winter months. If I'm on the treadmill, I'm listening to something because my mind just isn't stimulated. I'm just sitting there running, watching a clock, and I'm like, this is bad. I'm going to get off. I need something to keep running to. Like, if it's a 30-minute podcast, I'm going to run to the very end because I want to hear the end.
Beautiful. And would it be a podcast typically, music, book?
I would say primarily podcasts. That's what I kind of stick to. I can mix it up, listen to, some financial stuff, some life coaching, some sports. I like to get as much as possible.
Yeah, I love it, man. For me, I got the treadmill right there, and it's the same. I like to listen to my books while I read them physically. Love to read. Life changer. I mean, when we're talking to, certainly on my team, I don't necessarily say this to clients and business owners to be like, hey, go read. That's not going to be my golden nugget of advice. But to our team, we give out certain books when you get hired on board. Like, these are mandatory. Got to read them. You don't have to read them by tomorrow, but just get through them and let's talk about it once a week and see what you've come up with, or see where you're confused with, or where you've bumped up a barrier. But if I just listen to them, I don't feel I absorb it as much. I like to also take notes. So I bought a treadmill with quite a big display. So I can just put the book, write a couple of things. I'm also not running like you are. It's get a nice sweat, 30, 45 minutes walk. I'm more about muscle and keeping my size as I age. Put a lot of effort into, I was a skinny kid and no longer am. So I'd like to keep the mass on. But I listen while I read. And like you, even just walking briskly for 30 minutes, there's not a lot of pain necessarily, but I'm so understimulated if I'm not doing something. So I love that you do that. And then nature, when you get in the warmer months. Any recommendations for podcasts for the business listeners out there, or anybody else?
I really like Ed Milet's podcast.
He's great.
Your Life, Your Terms. It's kind of a real estate. They cover a lot of different things, local real estate. They're out of Oakville.
Okay. Haven't heard of them.
Yeah, really good. That's kind of what I got hooked on. And then I'd say from there, I just bounce around to a whole bunch. Jay Shetty, like
great,
many different things. And just to touch on like the book stuff. So I didn't read once I got out of high school. I quit reading. Reading wasn't cool.
Totally.
And I kind of got involved with a business group, and reading was a thing. So I started reading. Reading, I would say, changed mine and my wife's life. If I didn't read books, I would have never known to go find someone better that's doing what you're doing. So books changed everything. I'd say when we're interviewing people, especially for a team lead here, a non-reader is almost a deal breaker for us. Yeah. It's very important that someone reads and takes pride in that. And also we can have discussions about it, but probably one of the most important things that not a whole lot of people do, reading one book a year is better than not reading.
And you're probably in like the 60 plus percentile of humans for leisure reading at one book a year.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, again, when we were talking about go find someone that's better at what you're doing and pick their brain, my mentor planted the seed because reading was not my thing. I was a jock. I was fitness. I was hockey. I was that. I wanted the girls, the party, the popularity, and my sports. That superficial jock of a guy. You wouldn't catch me with a book. But at 23, I had my own business, personal training, had my own little gym, and things started changing. And she asked me about reading. And I said, no, absolutely not. And I'm 37, I'm your age. So this was before YouTube was the resource that it is, which it's a phenomenal resource. Yeah. But I think reading gives you so much more than what YouTube can give you. Maybe combine the both, find your preference. For me, it's reading. But she said, some of the greatest people who have ever lived have distilled their best information and put it into a 6-hour, easy to read book for you.
Yeah.
How badly do you want to live a great life? Like, not just talking about business. How badly do you really want to do well at this life game that you're playing until you're done? And I said, really badly. She says, well, there is no greater ROI than a book. Most of the books will cost between $50 and $30, cost you financially. And then between 6 and 7 hours of your time for one read through, even if you read through it 3 or 4 times, which 99% of people will never do, you're talking 30 hours of study, if you will, and that could crack the next code for your business, take you from $500,000 to $1 million in revenue, or 1 to 2, or 5 to 10, or out of shape to in shape, or out of love to in love.
Yeah.
It's my secret weapon outside of fitness. That would be first. Next to that is reading. And we're talking 45 minutes a day. You will probably bang out on average between 2 and 3 books a month.
Yep.
Talking 30 books a year. And there's not going to be many people that say that. And you're going to notice in conversations who does it. And that's why I said the 5-10 minutes into this conversation, character leaves clues. And I'm seeing a lot of things that I do from what you're saying. I think it's amazing. And I'm glad you're putting out those things. We've had over 300 podcasts now. And I can count on one hand the amount of people that have recommended books the way you just did. And for a person your age, with your staff and your business to be saying that, I hope people heard that, because $20
Yeah.
in 6 hours, man. I don't know. No marketing, no employee will ever get you that kind of return. Plus, quality of life is what I'm going for. I don't want to just have a successful business. Successful business is a part of having a high quality life, because you need the resource of money to do a lot of things. But I want to do life well, and it's in the books for me.
Exactly.
When you read, is it business often, or is it life? Like Jay Shetty, I mean, he just talks about tapping into your spirit. He's awesome.
I would say, again, it's a mix. I've started reading some more like military stuff, which is like I've really enjoyed. That's just kind of opened up my eyes into like struggles and like determination and like how crazy some of the stuff that people are doing. It's like,
yeah,
I'm living mediocre. Like compared, like these guys are, or women are crazy. Like they're having to do insane stuff. They're mentally pushing through it, and be like, it's just crazy.
And it really gives you a perspectives change. I love philosophy, because I think philosophy is designed to be a blueprint for life. So Stoicism, Buddhist philosophy really helped me narrow it in. And it gives me that perspective, especially when a day is shitty and I start reading that kind of stuff from people from 2,000 years ago, or World War II, or all of these crazy epic moments throughout our human written history. And I'm like, I have nothing to complain about, man.
Yeah.
Let's just get back to it, start focusing on what I'm grateful for, and take the lessons from these guys. It's just an amazing thing found in a book. Super easy.
Fearless, Eric Blem. I don't know if you've read that.
No.
Incredible book. Like incredible story. Talks about a Navy SEAL, like overcomes every possible adversity. Incredible. You'll like, very emotional too.
Oh, I love the emotional, man.
But
Eric
yeah,
Blem.
that's probably one of the best books I've read ever.
Well, I'm gonna get it, man.
And I like, it's pretty thick.
That's okay.
Once you start reading it, you won't be able to stop, guaranteed.
Yeah, and you know, as long as the book provides value, there's a couple of big thick ones behind me right now. I'm reading Benjamin Franklin's biography from Walter Isaacson. I think that's like 600-700 pages. But if the story's good, it's like a Netflix series.
Yeah.
No one's going to say to you, "Oh, it's a really long series." You're going to be like, "Yeah, it's a long one." So as long as it's good, I'll keep reading. But I could continue to talk your head off, Tyler. We got some questions to get through. Yeah. So let's move on to this next one. Considering you're just talking about Fearless, that book, the hardship he goes through, super emotional. Let's talk about that. I don't even think I need to provide you much context, because I feel like you already get this stuff big time. But I'll just say this simply for me. Being in the business world, it's hard. The fitness world, hard. In the addiction world, all of these things are hard. I think life is hard one way or another. I think it's up to us to choose our hard. Being out of shape is hard and sucks. Being in shape is hard and sucks sometimes. Or getting in shape can suck. Squats certainly don't feel good for the most of us. But I think one way or another, you are not getting through this life unscathed without hard. But I do think if we voluntarily choose our hard, that it can make us significantly better, rather than life imposing the hard on us. I'll give you an example. If I choose to not be in shape, like life will force that hardness on me by diabetes, by high blood pressure, et cetera, not sleeping. And now that result has been imposed upon me rather than me deciding to eat well, to sleep well, to move well, and now getting the fruits of that labor. So I look at it this way. The hardest things in life typically are the most rewarding. Love is very hard. Wealth, becoming wealthy is hard. Business is hard. Fit is hard. But those are things we've chosen throughout our lives when circumstances have happened out of our control. Most things are, I believe, like COVID would be an example. And now we've gone through a hardship, a failure of something, whether in or out of your control. I look at those now, not when I was in my 20s. I had to learn these lessons painfully as the greatest opportunities for growth. I look at growth on the day-to-day, if things are going well, as slowly kind of, making my way through the marathon, just chipping away at it. But when we look at massive ROI from doing something very, very difficult, it comes from these hardships. Like for me, I busted both my legs in my mid-20s. And because of that, that led to a dependency on painkillers, which is what led me to becoming an addiction counselor. That was the hardest 5 years of my life, no question. Like just the depths of hell sucked. But from that, when I finally decided that to make something of this, the growth trajectory over the next 5 years was greater than any previous 5 years, without a shadow of a doubt. Seeing somebody go through cancer, seeing what they come through out on the other side, seeing somebody that goes from not in shape to saying, I'm running a marathon by the end of the year, seeing what they produce in that 1 year from these difficulties, seeing a business really fail and then they explode and come back stronger in 2 years. You're like, how do they do it? I think through our hardships, there is a greater opportunity presented to us than in most other typical circumstances. So we love to ask the guests on the show, are there any trials and tribulations, hardships that you're comfortable with sharing that probably sucked in the moment? All of those things I described didn't feel good, but you wouldn't remove that ingredient in hindsight from the recipe that has become you because it's led you to who you are today.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been many, and there's many more to come. And probably the biggest one was just like a huge financial miscalculation on our part. Like probably about 5 years ago, we were not doing great. Couple bad decisions, and I remember sitting at a year-end meeting with our accountant, and it was like, this is not great. Like, you're not done, but this is going to take 5 years to come out of. And I was like, okay, this really isn't great. We basically just kind of taken over a business, and now we're at the very bottom of Everest. Like we thought we were halfway up, and we're at the bottom. And we could have gotten, depressed about it and really down and out. But I was like, okay, we've done this ourselves. I have no one else to blame. Why did this happen? Why did it happen? Because, we didn't have things like a budget. I wasn't taught about financials and the things that you need to do to run a business. I knew how to work in the business. There was no one would outwork me. But when you get to a certain point, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You need to know how to run the business. That was the worst and best lesson we learned. We've come out of that, and we're in a great place now. But again, if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have been forced to learn financial literacy, budgets, the things that I need to learn to have a growing business. So that, again, I hope it doesn't help. I hope by having this conversation, you and I, maybe some other the people that are wanting to get better and grow, know that is one of the most important things, is having a budget and knowing some basic financial literacy things, because you cannot outwork that problem.
No, that ship sails faster than your productivity for work.
Yeah.
But can I ask you, are you guys stronger now than you were prior to that?
Oh, like 100%, like totally different business now.
And, I went broke through that painkiller time, but I think it was coming anyway. I went from personal training which was fantastic. One of the most rewarding jobs for me, for sure, seeing people transform their lives through their bodies. But it was successful and it was profitable. And I was able to sell it for a small profit, but I was able to actually sell a business, which was great in my early 20s. Then I thought I was some hotshot and went into the HVAC industry when I knew only a little bit about it. My other partners knew more, but we were focused solely on money, not on caring for other people. And it was ugly and it was nasty and it was built on government grants and plummeted. And I feel I needed to get my ass kicked at that level to learn who I didn't want to be. This is an example of who I don't want to be anymore because of all the results that this person got. I just wasn't living a good life, but just, it was like top of the mountain, fell off the edge. Through that, that's when the reading started coming in. That's when caring for other people started coming in. That when reconsidering my own life, because I wasn't super healthy at the time. Like when I look at the things that have changed me the most, they both happened at the same time. I was busting both those legs. I feel like I was driving full steam ahead and life was like, we're just going to put a wall here because you need to stop now. And then we'll give you the opportunity. Whoever's saying this, the big man, the universe, whatever, we're going to put a wall here and stop you now before this gets worse. And then hopefully you see the opportunity in this. It took me 4 years to see that opportunity. But that was at 28. Now being almost 38, this last 10 years, for sure, the best 10 years of my life. And like you said, I hope people don't go through that and they just hear this. Although there is a part of my brain that feels like nothing is more potent than your own personal experience. Just learning it from somebody else. That said, don't learn everything on your own. Because it will just be too much hardship. And you don't need to. You don't need to find out that painkillers are bad for you by doing it on your own. You don't need to find out that having financial literacy is important by failing on your own, or being greedy like I was in the HVAC world is not going to produce good results by going through it on your own. But I really appreciate you sharing that story, man. It's quite open. And I imagine so many people who listen that are business owners resonate with that same thing. Cabinet makers, great at making cabinets, never run a business before. You can be the best cabinet maker for 40 years. You will never have the necessity to develop the skills to run a business by developing and building cabinets until you decide to run a business. Whole slew of different skill sets. Delegation and leadership and finance and vision and branding and marketing have nothing to do with building cabinets. But a lot of our local business owners, small and medium, are that person with the skill set that has now become skillful enough, doesn't want to be on the tools anymore, wants to run the business. And then things start getting very difficult because they're learning a whole new skill, like a brand new language from scratch, thinking it would be a little bit easier than it turns out to be. So I really appreciate you sharing that, man. I think it's a great story. Pivoting a little bit out of your own personal experience, if you could, you're speaking directly to the audience right now. What's the one thing that you'd want them to know, for the people who know about you, for the people who haven't heard about you, for the people that have forgotten or just driven by, whatever it is? If you had that elevator pitch, you're on stage, they give you 90 seconds, you're in front of 1,000 of them. What is it you want to get across to them?
I would say basically, like, if you're, in the market for doing some sort of outdoor building project, stop in and see us. If you're looking for ideas, like, I'd say we're not here to sell people. We're here to learn about what people are trying to do. How can we give you, how can we inspire you to build really cool shit? And we'll help you do it. We'll put you in touch with the right people. And we want to change the landscape industry and showing people experiences. Like, you're not coming here, you're not getting dirty and muddy, walking into a small dungeony, dirty, dusty trailer. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but we are very proud here to wear these blue Carr shirts. It's spick and span here. Any of my staff members are way nicer than me. So
And you're
like
pretty nice, man.
just come and talk to us. We're here to help you, build your backyard cottage dream.
Awesome. I love it, man. We want to help you build cool shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's the size of the staff?
We have between 25 and 30.
Damn. And how many owners are involved? Is it just you, family?
My wife and I now are the sole owners.
Okay. So Pops is sailing off in the sunset right now.
He just retired this year. We didn't think it was ever going to happen, but it seems as though it has. And I think he's really enjoying it. He's getting a lot more pickleball time.
Yes. Pickleball, man. I still have not done it. But God, these people above the age of 50 certainly love the heck out of it. Pickleball courts are popping up all over the place.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy, but I'm glad they're able to enjoy it, man. It's a great story. I love what you guys are doing. We're going to talk to you about your contact right now. So what's the best way to get a hold of you? What's the address, Facebook, socials, whatever? And then I got one of my secret question for you. So
we're at 653 Dunlop Street West in Barrie, corner of Dunlop and Tiffin, 705-726-3253. That's the best number to get a hold of any of us here. You'll get put through to the right person. info@carlandscapedepot.com. Email carlandscapedepot.com is our website. Did I miss anything there?
Socials. Can people find you on Facebook, Instagram?
Carr Landscape Depot on Facebook and Instagram. I think we've been doing pretty good job lately of getting some like good content out on there. So I'd say, you want the most up-to-date information on how to build cool shit, go on Instagram and Facebook.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Go to Instagram and find out how to build cool shit, people. You heard it straight from Tyler. Okay. Secret question. I don't put this in there because sometimes people like to script their answers. And with our slogan, real people, real conversations, real settings, scripting doesn't go well. It's like having a beer with your buddy for this to go well, I think. So even though it doesn't look like any of your answers were scripted right off the cuff, which is what we love, great answers, I keep this one secret. So I've talked about a mentor of mine a few times. This podcast really is an extension of me. I think most of our businesses, if we built them, they are an extension of us in some way. So fitness, I talk about personal development, certainly spirituality, mentorship, purpose, impact, these types of things, philosophy, psychology. Like these are the things that I think and talk about. That's about it. You won't get much else out of me. So if you don't like it, we're probably not good. But if you do like it, those are the things that I study and implement out in the world and talk about. So this one kind of checks a few boxes, but mainly is about impact and purpose. My mentor taught me in my early 20s to consider what my impact would be. She asked me, have you ever considered what your impact has been up to this point? I said, no, I'm 23. I wanted parties and girls and hockey. She said, well, you are making an impact, whether you think you are or not. So reflect on what your impact has been up to this point at 23. Be very intentional about your impact day to day, because you don't know if you're going to be here the following day. Getting more time is very much out of your control. What you do with your time is somewhat up to you, but getting more of it is out of your hands. I can't guarantee that I'll be here on Saturday. So be very intentional about your impact for the day. And then for however long you are here, what do you want the net result of you to be? So essentially, I'm born, I die. What does the middle equate to from Jeff being here? Did it make no difference? Did I hurt? Did I help? Now that has been a driving force in my life for the last 10 years. I have most of my rules for life inked onto my skin so that I can be reminded of them, especially when I'm in that emotional shit. I think it's easy to be good when things are going good, but who are you when things are going poorly? And I have a reminder. And the first three are all about what I do with my time, being very aware and intentional of time and who I want to be. So it's been a leading factor of my life. I know who I want to be. I know what my purpose is, and it drives me. And I'm very curious to find out if other people think this way. And if they do, what do they think about? So we love to ask the guests on the show, Tyler, what would you like your impact to be?
I think I would just want my impact to be is to, inspire my kids and people around me to just try to be better. Know that if I can do it, anybody can do it. I've gone from I came from knowing nothing to learning everything that I've done. So if I can inspire my staff, the people I know, and friends around me to be better people, and whether it's just run once a week, run once a month, do something, do some sort of physical activity, or maybe read a book or whatever it is, inspire them that they can be better and they can do it because I'm doing it. There's probably a lot more you could go on and on and on about, but I think just to, again, keep proving that you can do anything you want. You can set goals. You might not hit them, but if you keep moving forward, you're going to get closer. Don't quit. Don't give up. Keep going and enjoy life. Then again, there's going to be some shit that happens, but what can we learn from it? Don't blow up on people, and what can we do to get better? How can we not make this happen again? And just try and teach those principles to everybody that will listen. And again, I'm not perfect, so I hope people have the same grace for me as well.
Love it, man. So inspire people through being a role model, a lighthouse, a representation of what can be done when you care, you don't quit, you want good things for yourself and other people.
Yeah.
Your kids, your staff, anybody else that's willing to listen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
I love it. Very last thing. One piece of life advice, business advice, marriage advice, parent advice, pick whichever one you want. One main thing that you say, if you do this, at least from my own experience, good shit will happen. Hit us with that gold, man.
I would just have to go back to reading. If you read one book a month, you're going to come across a book and different books, but you're going through a marriage problem. You'll eventually come across a marriage book that'll help you with that. You'll come across a business book. You'll be able to apply it. A health book. You may not need these things when you read them, but you will always put some stuff in the bank for when stuff does happen. You'll at least have one tool that, again, your buddies might not have the right tools. Everybody's pretty quick to tell you lots of ideas, but it might not be the right tool. But if you read, I think you're gonna see exponential growth in yourself and in your family and your sphere of people. That is only going to help. It's only going to help you. That's the one thing I would say. Just read.
Reading. I love it, man. Tyler, this has been one of my favorites. Honestly, it's been great. You're super easy to talk to, wealth of knowledge. I think what you guys have done with this family-run business for almost 40 years is exceptional. Just the fact that it's been alive for 40 years, I think puts you in the 99 percentile, right? I mean, in Simcoe County, how many businesses have been around for 4 decades? There's a handful. And from the statistics that we pay very close attention to, about 7 to 8 out of 10 businesses fail in their first 10 years. So to make it for 4 decades and to pivot the way you guys have, and to now be at your strongest point with this new experience center idea is exceptional. I think we can all learn a lot from that. Your focus on business and your meticulousness to the gum on the floor, and then good physical advice and mental advice. It's been fantastic getting to know you, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely, man. I look forward to speaking to you again. I imagine we will, and stopping by Carr Landscape Depot. Everybody check them out. Come by and go feel the experience for yourself. Come say hi. Until then, you have a great day, man. We'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.